tell you something, all that glitters ain't gold. Hey, hey, it's been a long old troublesome road, and I'm looking for somebody come and help me carry this load. I need a dollar, that's what I need. Hey, hey, well I need a dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's time for Freedmen Friday. You can tap in on social media, youtube.com, KBLA 1580, where I'm streaming. I'm being joined by an attorney and activist who has been a vocal advocate for reparations and issues specifically impacting the black community. She's a 2006 graduate of Howard University School of Law, 2002 grad from UC Berkeley. She's worked in private practice as a corporate attorney, an entertainment lawyer, and a real estate and program attorney with public agencies. Cheryce Cryer, Esquire, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Yes,
Ooh,
indeed.
Thank you.
So it's been a minute since we talked, and yeah, a lot continues to go on. It's interesting to me that even in the environment of the outlawing of DEI, the ruling by the Supreme Court around affirmative action, a time when anything that seems to be targeted toward uplifting black people specifically is seemingly illegal, or at least being treated as illegal, the reparations progress continues. What do you make of that?
I think that we are in a good place. The road is long. I think our path is very, very narrow, but I think we're on a good path. And I've been watching some of the news about the executive orders and new laws that are coming down from the White House, and it seems like we have DEI for a certain community that I'm not going to verbalize. So I think we have a case and a pathway.
Interesting. And when you say our path is very narrow, I assume you're talking about lineage.
I'm talking about the actual, I'm going to say execution of the bills that are reparations. Our path is very narrow because the community is getting a lot of delay and pushback from Sacramento.
Okay, so when you say our path is narrow, you're specifically only talking about California and the progress on these bills. And we're in a 2-year legislative cycle, which I sometimes forget. So that means the road to repair package that was introduced by this state legislature has 2 years to actually manifest into laws or bills that are on the ballot.
Well, so I'm talking about reparations, direct cash payment or cash equivalent. I know that we potentially may have a ballot measure as far as reversing Prop 209, which we tried to do before with Prop 16. But I don't consider that reparations because it's going to help out.
Yeah, Prop 16 is about affirmative action. It's not about reparations, right?
Right. But I believe that there's
we lost anyway.
Yeah, we did. But I believe that the CLBC is considering introducing another bill for the next ballot. But I don't think we have anything else on the ballot for our community.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I already know that you and I agree to disagree on Isaac Bryan's bill around education.
Right.
I do believe that is reparations, but I know that that's an unpopular opinion.
Even with the author himself, he told you, or he was on your show 2 weeks ago, and he said it's not reparations.
Right, but I just don't agree. I don't agree. I know Black Lives Matter says the same thing. I know CJEC says the same thing. But to me, and I don't claim to be the reparations, genie, but to me, a bill that potentially tests the legal validity, and you're the attorney here, the legal validity of the lineage argument is right dead center in the reparations push. It has to be, because let's say we go to court and we win. Oh, you are a legit group. Then that impacts every other reparations
Yes, this is true. But
plan, bill, whatever. So how is that not reparations?
I don't think we need to go to the Supreme Court. I don't want to talk on air
now
about
there's a
my
good
legal
point.
strategy. Yeah, I don't want to talk about my legal strategy and having to go to this particular Supreme Court.
Right.
In the manner that they want to go with AB7, which I suspected from the beginning that AB7 was a bill that the legislature, governor, et cetera, was going to bless and allow it to be litigated. I think that methodology, I think that's a delay tactic. I think that's smoke screen to see, make it seem like something is being done. But I don't think there are other ways that lineage can be established at the state level. Again, I don't want to. We would have to talk about that off air.
I got you. Not all conversations are public conversations. I get that. And I mean, it's a fair point about ending up at this particular Supreme Court. But there are many, well, maybe not many. There are some folks who argue that Clarence Thomas is dropped some breadcrumbs in the affirmative action decision by and you're not buying it by kind of hinting that freedmen might be a legit category.
So I looked at his concurring opinion 3 times, and I was excited initially when I saw that he mentioned freedmen. From what I understand, someone in the community sent a letter to the court. I don't think it was an amicus brief, but they sent a letter mentioning, explaining why freedmen was not a racialized term. And what Clarence Thomas said was freedmen was a under-inclusive proxy for race. It was under-inclusive proxy for race. And what Edward Blum and his team is saying is that, lineage is a proxy for race. And so we have to be careful when we present arguments to our enemies when we're not ready to. And so now you have a committee of people who were not in favor of lineage initially, a whole team of people who are not in favor of lineage who are now trying to present this argument before the Supreme Court. And I don't know if they talked to any of the other people who've been in this movement for a minute and who were pro-lineage for years. I don't know. But they're trying to craft an argument from their standpoint. And again, with Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court, in this case, if it even makes it out of the California Supreme Court to the federal Supreme Court coming from California, I mean, I question whether that's the right strategy. I'll say that. Yeah.
So when you talk about direct, and I do want to look at, this in a national scope too, because there's stuff constantly happening. But when you talk about direct cash payments and the idea that was floated about at least universal basic income for seniors who are descendants of enslaved persons in this country, where are we with that?
I have not heard an update. The last video I saw of Assemblymember Corey Jackson was saying he was not interested in pushing forward that carve out.
So as of right now, from a legislative standpoint, it's dead.
I don't think that has been taken into consideration by the legislature, which is unfortunate because there are other communities who are getting cash payments, whether it's for legal aid or rent payments. Some communities are getting rent payments through the state legislature, through the Health and Human Services Department. So there's precedent and there's money. I keep seeing this thing. California is the 4th largest economy in the world. Yeah. But we don't have money to pay reparations. I don't believe that.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that that's a choice, right? We are having a bad budget years, but when you talk about paying reparations, no one expects you to, at least I don't think most people expect you to pay it in one fiscal year.
Exactly.
We take payments.
Exactly.
We'll put you on a plan.
We'll take IOUs, and the state has done that before. And I want to uplift, and some folks may not agree with me, and I'm going to have to, when you go on break, I'm going to have to get the bill number. But Tina McKinnon has a bill that's part of the priority package. And, it's to set aside, I think it's 10% of the Dream for All down payment assistance. That is a perfect bill to me.
AB 57, right? Is it AB 57?
Yes,
yeah.
I believe so.
It seeks to allocate a portion of the home purchase assistance fund to first-time home buyers who are descendants of American chattel slavery.
Yes.
And you feel that's a perfect bill.
The program is not funded right now. Yes, the program is not funded right now.
I do know
that. But if you look at what the tribal entities are getting from the state, they're getting the same exact type of carve-outs. So you have, with Housing and Community Development, a tribal NOFA that's specifically for the tribe. So to me, it's a similar idea, and I'm so excited. I'll be so excited to see if this bill passes. But when that program is funded, that to me is a form of reparations. That is a carve out for our community. Even if the money is not there, it's going to be there one day. So I'm excited about that.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So out of this Road to Repair priority bill package, you feel like AB 57 from Assemblywoman Tina McKinnon is actually reparations, or would be?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing if there's anything else in here that you would consider reparations, and weighing in on some of the national movement that's going forth. It's always fun to talk with attorney Cheryce Cryer, also a reparations advocate for a long time around here. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZQL Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Dominique DiPrima and Cheryce Cryer. She's an attorney and reparations advocate. And we were talking about California. We can expand it out a little bit to the nation and the world. And I want to flag folks, if you weren't tapped in last Friday when I got to speak with Dr. William Sandy Darity, I would definitely recommend going back. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it wherever you get your pods. It was a great conversation. And if you haven't read, his book, wow, definitely recommend that you do that. So you, Attorney Cryer, you said you think AB 57, carving out money from the Home Buyers Assistance Program, even though it's not there yet, that is reparations to you. ACA 6, prohibiting slavery in all of its forms. We've tried this several times. As of right now,
yes.
Is that reparations to you?
No. Again, that's going to impact multiple communities. And for me,
all the
reparations
slaves.
is targeted for specific. Yeah, anyone who's incarcerated, et cetera, or,
Right. I'm going to assume you support it. You just don't think it's reparations.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I don't think it's reparations. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand ACA 7. Seeks to clarify Prop 209 to ensure local institutions and understand, blah, blah, blah. Like they're trying to modify Prop 209, which was about affirmative action. Doesn't seem like it should be in a reparations. That's Jackson in a reparations
That's
package.
what I was saying. They're trying to get that. I believe they're trying to get that back on the ballot again to reintroduce some type of form, Prop 16.
Right, Prop 16,
Prop
which I actually worked on and really believe in, but to me, again, nothing to do with reparations.
Right.
What about AB 62? This is McKinnon again. Seems like a version of Stephen Bradford's eminent domain bill.
Yes. So if you recall last year, the Latino caucus, I believe, tried to get a bill to a commission for the Chavez Ravine.
Yes, I do remember
that bill was blocked. When I was in the Capitol in December, I spoke with a member of her staff. Well, I didn't speak with her, but, indirect conversation. And we asked about reintroducing Bradford's bill, SB 1050. And the question returned to us was, well, how does that help everyone else? How does that help everyone? And I'm like, what kind of question is that? So this bill, to me, looks like it's helping everyone. So,
but technically Bradford's bill could have helped everyone if you could prove that you had racially motivated eminent domain damage.
No.
Well, that's...
No. If you look at SB 1050, I think I'm citing it correctly. It was supposed to be connected to CAFA. It was, if you look at the title of the bill, it was specifically referenced CAFA. So you could not have, that's why the bill was vetoed. And you could not have that bill without having the agency. And that's the notation and the out that Governor Newsom used. We cannot have this bill without a non-existent agency.
Yeah, well, maybe I misunderstood, but it sounded like what Bradford said to me is that even though it would go through the Freedmen's agency, that if other people could prove they had been impacted by racially motivated eminent domain seizures, they could seek redress through the Freedmen's agency, whether they were indigenous, Latino, whatever. They'd still have to go to the Freedmen's Bureau, but they would have been able to get redress.
So I'm not going to say who helped him write the bill, but the person who helped write that bill is not in favor of lineage. If you look at...
You talking about the Bradford bill, or are you talking about this?
Yes, the Bradford bill.
Yeah, because the new one is McKinnon again, and that's
right.
And you're saying you don't consider this reparation because it would help everybody.
Yes.
Do you support it?
No.
Interesting.
If you look at SB 518, there's a similar provision in SB 518 that the Bureau will be helping anyone who, or any communities that were harmed by categories mentioned in the task force report. Black people are not mules of America, and we have to stop treating Black America as mules. We have to stop treating our issues and muling everyone else into our issues. This always happens where we have an issue, we have a concern, and everyone gets to attach themselves to our issues and concerns. Again, this Bureau and the provisions under the Bureau were supposed to be modeled after the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the State Tribal Affairs Office. I cannot go, and you cannot go to either one of those agencies and seek redress. So why would we allow other people to seek redress under our own Bureau? So that means any and everybody, if you become a resident, no matter where you come from, if you become a resident of California and you believe your property was taken by racially motivated reasons, you may not have a tie to the Black community or to the descendant community. Now you get to attach yourself to our Bureau. Absolutely not. That's not what I envisioned when I said we should reestablish the Freedmen's Bureau.
AB 475, we'll just do a little speed round here. Voluntary work programs for institutional residents, that sounds like not at all reparations.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that bill.
That's a Wilson. That's a no. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
El Hawari designates descendants of American chattel slavery for priority professional licenses. Yeah.
I actually recommended that they update that bill, and I think I recommended that they remove the priority because I'm not sure what the impact of what they were doing. Because Sade is my Assembly Member Sade is my representative, so I did speak with her office about that bill. But yeah, I'm not sure what the thought was behind that bill.
Maybe she'll come on here and we'll ask her. Sharp Collins require. Yeah. Well, anyway, racial equity. I mean, look, she wasn't an assembly member on August 31st when they made that
That's true.
punk move. But the only one that has returned in person since then is Assembly Member Brian, and I did have a conversation on the phone with Smallwood Cuevas, but other than then, it's crickets. And please believe we're asking. Okay, we're not just like never mind, as you were. Okay. Sharp Collins create community violence interdiction grant program and fund community-driven solutions to decrease violence. Sounds like gang violence prevention.
Gang violence intervention. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great program, not reparations.
That is. Do you have a T-shirt that says that, Cheryce? I'd wear one. Great program, not reparations. Bonta would direct the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation in collaboration with the Civil Rights Department to identify and address ongoing mortgage lending discrimination.
I mean, with all due respect, Mia Bonta's husband is Rob Bonta, and these partnerships with the Department of Justice that keep coming out of the CLBC. I mean, what are we doing? Not that that's a bad bill, but
great program,
not reparations.
Okie dokie. And ransom requires the Civil Rights Department and Department of Education to collect anonymized data to determine how complaints are handled. That's AB 935. It doesn't sound like reparations, but I haven't read the bill.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I've only really provided comment about SB437 and SB518 because they are so egregious. I am in support of SB515, which is Senator Laura Richardson. That is not part of the priority package.
It's not here. Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But SB437 and SB518, again, are so egregious really have been.
Well, we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always for more data. I just don't know that we call it reparations. So
Right.
437 requires the university to independently report and research on scientific methodology, blah, 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 to determine an individual's genealogical fingerprint for the purpose of verification of a descendant. This is the one, the study that with no end, right?
No, and they've added some dates in there. I think 2029 and things like that. But I actually did a public comment to the Cal State Board of Trustees about 2 weeks ago to tell them to keep, don't take the money. This is unacceptable. This is theft. And I listened to their Board of Trustees meeting the next day after several other reparation activists had called in to provide public comment as well. Shout out to you all. And one of the trustees had no idea what they were supposed to be, what their duties were.
Wow. Hold that thought, Attorney Cryer. We continue after news, traffic, and sports. Hard stop right here, KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Investigators say the gunman at Fort Stewart in Georgia, who was an active duty military member, used his own personal handgun in the shooting, not an Army-issued weapon. 5 soldiers are now recovering after that shooting.
One soldier remains as an inpatient here at Wynn Army, right here on Fort Stewart. She's doing very well and high spirits. Of course, she's got a little bit of a road to recovery.
A lawyer for Sean Diddy Combs is asking the judge for home confinement after the convicted rap mogul was found guilty last month on 2 prostitution-related charges. Finally, Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist are planning a tour. They plan stops in Brooklyn, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, to name a few places. Freddie Gibbs, by the way, is a black rapper, and the tour kicks off September 20th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Spending 2 hours staring at the back of someone's bumper isn't the best way to end your day. So Jack in the Box is giving you a bonus with their new Bonus Jack Combo. Fries, a drink, and a burger with your choice of 1, 2, or 3 patties, starting at just $4.49. Get so much more.
Ignite your afternoons at Waba Grill's $5 happy hour with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink, like our tangy passion fruit lemonade. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. Only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A very tough break for the Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater will miss the entire season after suffering a ruptured patella tendon in his left leg. Slater was injured during a blocking drill in Thursday's practice. The injury comes just 11 days after Slater had become the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. Slater signed a 4-year extension worth $113 million, which gives him an average annual salary of $28.2 million. Tonight in Cleveland, LeBron James is one of 9 people who will receive the Sam Lacey Sports Pioneer Award at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention. The award is named after the legendary sports columnist who wrote for 7 decades for the Baltimore Afro-American, one of the nation's historic black newspapers. LeBron is unable to attend tonight's ceremony, but he sent a 2-minute acceptance speech on video. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatallzearly.com. That's treatallzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
It is Freedmen Friday. We do this every Friday, focusing on reparations. Attorney Cheryce Cryer is also a reparations advocate. She's got boots on the ground around the issue. And we were kind of going through the California Legislative Caucus, their new version of reparations proposals, and I'm putting air quotes around reparations, is the road to repair. We were on SB437. This is one of the main ones you are focused on because you don't like it. It's proponents say, well, this will give us a real clear definition of who's eligible and who's not. What I've heard opponents say is that it's a study without an end date. You say, well, maybe now there is an end date, 2029, we don't know. But you still don't like it, even with the sunset.
I don't. And, I'm on a commission, and I've talked, there are people from different backgrounds, different communities, in particular the Tongva community. And, the indigenous history in the United States is, very traumatic. And is not reflective of a struggle of their community to be recognized. And when I mentioned what that bill did, everyone was taken back and, disgusted that we're basically having, I don't want to call it a eugenics study, but that's what it looks like. This is already done.
Why is it a eugenics study? I don't understand that, drawing the line there.
Because the methodology to study, the thought with this bill for me is that we cannot trace our ancestry. We can't trace our ancestry because we are descendants of people who were not considered human, even though these were people with faces. They had feelings. They bled when you cut them, and they are nameless and faceless. By this study, they don't exist, and that is far from the truth. Because we're here, because we are here, they're descendants, and so I feel it's disrespectful to allege, and this has been said multiple times, that we cannot, or it's too hard to trace our ancestry. This has been said outside of our community by a lot of people because they don't know, but it's been said in our community, even by the bill's author. Well, one of the proponents of the bill at the last, he commented and he said, hey, guess what? I was actually able to trace your ancestry back. Matter of fact, I got you going all the way back to the 1700s. I think he said it took him about 2 hours to do that. And he said, if you want to give me the $6 million, you can give it to me. It is offensive to our intellect to even allege or claim that it's too hard or you don't know your ancestry when your mother's story is that she is the child of sharecroppers from Arkansas, I believe.
Okay, so the $6 million that Attorney Crier is referring to, $6 million that was allocated last legislative session that was meant to support reparations. And it's a tiny drop of money in the size of what's needed for any real repair or even in comparison to our annual budget, but it's something. Mm-hmm. So that's something. That's the money that you're referring to. I mean, yes. We could do a whole other show on another day about that. I do believe there are some people that will have more trouble tracing lineage than others. There are people that ran away, who changed their names, who escaped to Mexico, who, actually hid on purpose because they were freed in various ways or were, being sought under the Fugitive Slave Act. I mean, there's lots of scenarios, the way things unfolded in this country. I know there are lots of methodology for finding out who those folks are, but to say that everyone is going to have a 20-minute lineage search, I don't think that's really realistic either.
And yes, but we are in 2025, and I personally am my family historian, or I help out, and I did my own genealogy research. I started in 2008 with Ancestry. Mm-hmm. We are in 2025 now. The technology, the Freedmen's Bureau records that are now being digitized in a voluminous manner, the U.S. Colored Troops records, there's so much information out there that it would be almost impossible not to be able to find your ancestors unless you were adopted, and even then I would say a DNA test would help fill in the gap, but that's how people are finding their ancestors.
Right.
Their family.
I get that there's forensic lineage. We got maroon community. There's all kinds of stuff. The people that were in the Dismal Swamp. I mean, there's lots of scenarios. I'm not talking about me. I have a photo. Okay. I'm not talking about me. I am not worried about my lineage. It's very clear. But in any case, Enoch Archie is my one of my ancestors who was enslaved, and we can prove it. So I'm not talking about me, but I see your point. My concern with SB437, aside from the fact that it does seem like a stall technique, is it seems that we've already established the criteria through the California Task Force. So why are we doing this again?
Because the governor asked.
Oh, well, there you have it. SB464, that's Smallwood Cuevas, expand employer-employee democratic data reporting to the Civil Rights Department for enforcing civil rights protection. Sounds like nice program, not reparations. Your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the intent of the bill is. I haven't really looked at. I haven't looked at that bill.
I'm just kind of going down the list so we can see what's out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so SB 503, Weber Pearson seeks to regulate the use of artificial intelligence in critical healthcare applications to mitigate racial biases present in commercial algorithms. Sounds like discrimination stuff.
Yeah. I think that sounds like a great bill. I think we need to pay particular attention to AI in the Black community, but again, that's going to benefit everyone.
And I mean, to be clear, you're not saying it's bad to benefit everyone, right?
No, I'm just saying it's if you're going to call something reparations, the road to repair, Black people are not the mules of America. You should not be using the task force report to help out everyone else.
But our struggles have always made the world better for everyone. I understand what you're saying. You can certainly apply that to affirmative action where, white women disproportionately benefit from that. But I think saying that when we demand justice, it helps everyone is not necessarily bad. We are the moral leaders of the world in that sense. I'm not going to co-sign that no one that it's bad if removing anti-blackness helps other communities. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's a plus.
It sounds like a lot of these bills are removing discrimination. Again, not a bad thing, but the task force report was specific to our community. And again, it sounds like these bills, which again were supposed to come out of the task force recommendations, are making Black people's issues and our solutions to our issues as we're being muled for the rest of the community. Not that these are bad bills, not that getting rid of discrimination, but you cannot then say, oh, these are recommendations from the task force. Those were not recommendations from the task force. That's what you came up with. And we just need to be honest about what we're doing. The politicians, the Black Caucus, they just need to be honest about what they are doing and not trying to shoehorn one issue into another and then call it reparations or repair for the Black community. We should not do that. It doesn't feel good. And I was in a meeting yesterday updating a group on these bills, and they kept asking, well, what happened to the $12 million? Well, this is not reparations. The people are not stupid. Yeah. The constituents are not stupid.
So last week when I talked with Dr. William Sandy Darity, he said that he wishes we would all stop calling everything reparations if it's not coming, unless it's at a federal level. Because he was arguing that if we call our local and county and state initiatives and programs reparations, even if it is a direct cash payment, the feds are going to say, well, we already did reparations. We don't need to do that again. And so he feels like we should be calling all of this stuff redress or anti-discrimination or something other than reparations, and that the actual reparations claim needs to be on a federal level only, and that these programs can exist and come out of the task force but should not be considered reparations. What do you think of that?
Dr. Darity has always had that position. His stance is that reparations can only come at the federal level, and he was not even in favor of a state task force, from my knowledge. Initially, I remember hearing a story. He said he was not interested or in favor of reparations years ago. He actually had to go do, his due diligence. So I understand what he's saying, and I do agree that really the redress needs to come from the federal government, because when you look at the evolution of our country, particularly piecemealing reparations. And so I have always been in favor, and Dr. Darity talks about this in From Here to Equality. So if, California does something here, and Louisiana does something here, New here, Michigan, but the payments don't go to the individuals directly. It gets put into a pot with federal money and any other funds that are considered reparations, and it is distributed. Again, it's called a reparations super fund. That concept was written about in an article a few years ago, and that's what I presented to the task force. The very first public comment I gave in person, I said that that's something that they need to look at, and they need to work and partner with the federal government. But at this point, because we have been able to pierce that federal government veil for reparations, I feel right now this is just a groundswell, and it's going to trigger federal reparations. And then we could talk about maybe having a reparations super fund. But I think the individual efforts are necessary so we can get the federal government's attention, and then maybe perhaps come up with some type of streamlined model of best practices for reparations, the lineage-based model, so that we can, I want to say get all the kinks out, but, be able to cross all our T's and dot all our I's, and it comes with get a proper ask and actually some action from the federal government that would transcend whomever's in the White House.
Talking with attorney Cheryce Cryer. Of course, we'll get to SB510 and SB518 when we come forward. And hopefully we'll get really interesting how this is popping its head up in the New York mayor's race. All that straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, Litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
How do these hours go by so quick? Attorney Cheryce Cryer is with me, and it's a Freedmen Friday. We started going through all these bills, at least getting you familiar with what they are. Some Cheryce has done a deeper dive on, some not so much. SB510 is Senator Laura Richardson, who replaced Stephen Bradford after he termed out. It seeks to require and complete an accurate K-12 curriculum regarding racial disparities, including impacts of segregation, slavery, and systemic discrimination.
I think it's a great bill. Passing the torch from Senator Bradford to Senator Richardson. Great bill. Still not quite reparations because it's very inclusive. But
I felt like when they were running for that seat, Attorney Cryer, it was Michelle Chambers, who I supported, versus Laura Richardson, who is typically quite conservative as far as Democrats go. I felt like she indicated that she was going to carry Bradford's bills, and I don't see anything like that here. So I have called her office out on that several times, like in person and over the phone and by email, because originally Laura Richardson. So when they were both running, she and Michelle Chambers were running, I was in more than one candidate forum, and I specifically asked them to make sure, even though I was not going to be a potential constituent, I wanted to make sure they were going to carry on the work. And I did call them out, and I said, "You're not carrying on the work like you said you were. As a matter of fact, you signed on as a co-author for SB518. And I'm not happy with that." And I sent them analysis in the history of my involvement with the prior versions of SB518 and why they were going off the course, off that straight and narrow. It was already set for them. And they have veered off that course with that particular bill. But she does have a data disaggregation bill in SB 515, which again is not reparations, but is much it's needed to get and correct and accurate information in our community. So as far as potential resources, seeing who is out there, who is claiming to be a descendant, I think that data disaggregation is very important. And even though it may only be for employees, one thing the state does not do is collect data on
victims of crimes and their and perpetrators, their specific race. Not to say that that's important, but that's something that we don't do. We talk about minorities and black and brown when we're talking about victims and those who are perpetrators of crimes. I say that all to say we do not really disaggregate data in the state of California. I think it's very important for us to do that, especially for the Freedmen community.
SB518 is the Bureau of Descendants of American Slavery. I know that CJEC's not supporting it. You're not supporting it. I do support it. I think that we should have, whether it's a bureau or an agency, that it represents progress to stand something up. Tell me why you're so strongly against this.
Again, I was the one who came up with the idea to reestablish a Freedmen's Bureau. I'm taking credit for that. And you cannot speak with me. You cannot not speak with me about something like this. You can't speak to all of the other organizations who are trying to include other communities in our claim when you talk about this particular bill, because, again, I was the one who helped inspire the bill. And so I have been boxed out from having that conversation. I have provided multiple emails. I've gone in person to say why this bill, as it reads, is now a new civil rights division or bureau. It is not a Freedmen Bureau. And I will read this bill would make implementation of its provisions contingent upon appropriation by the legislature as specified. So, number one, someone had mentioned that the DOJ had not been unfunded, defunded. Budget hadn't decreased. But and that's probably why they put the bureau under the DOJ. Again, the legislature has to appropriate funds, but now the bill addressed the lasting harms of disenfranchisement, segregation, discrimination, exclusion, and neglect, and violence impacting both descendants and communities harmed, as described in chapters 1 to 13, inclusive of the California Reparations Report. Why are other communities included in our bureau? That's not how this is supposed to work. And I know that this bureau is probably recommended to be under the DOJ because at the federal level, when the Japanese received their reparations, there was a new division that was created to process their claims. But that's all that division did. It didn't take any of their genealogy. It didn't do anything else except process their claims. And again, Mia Bonta is in the legislature, she's a member of the Black Caucus, and her husband is our attorney general. Why, as a black community, are we okay with having our privacy and our private information given to the law enforcement arm of our state? That is COINTELPRO.
Well, potentially could be. I mean, it's not automatically COINTELPRO, but I understand what you're saying. So you wouldn't, but you wouldn't support this even if it wasn't under DOJ because you feel like it opens the door to other people to benefit.
So if they put it, I said if they're going to put it under an agency, you should put it under Health and Human Services. It's better served under there. They're trying to make a comparison between the Japanese bureau, but also the Japanese redress with this bill. And if you, Don Tamaki was on the task force. He's also, co-founder of ART. And so I'm not surprised that the recommendation came from him, but we have greater harms over generations as opposed to a harm that occurred in the generation of the Japanese community. And again, once their claims were completed, that division closed down. So why are we modeling it? Why are we modeling it after their claim? But no, if they put it under Health and Human Services, if they only made it for our community, then I would support it.
So this is definitely not, because I know there's also some people who are angry because it's not called a Freedmen's Bureau, and then it starts to seem like just division between various factions of the reparations movement. ADOS versus Freedmen versus this, versus Pan-Africans versus this versus that. And bottom line is, do we have an agency or a bureau or not?
Yeah, and so when I originally came up with the idea to reestablish Freedmen's Bureau, I said it should be called something like the Bureau of ADOS Affairs. And then I said, well, why are we coming up with a new term? Freedmen has a history in the United States. It has a legal meaning. It's already established. It's already in the book. Why are we trying to recreate the wheel? It doesn't make any sense because we don't have we have to redefine what Americans chattel slavery, but we're adding new things to this particular bureau. If we keep it Freedmen's Bureau, it's less likely to be attacked. And you had a Republican that said doing a Freedmen's Bureau was okay. So it's
then didn't do jack about it. Don't make me cuss on the radio. Now he over here trying to prosecute activists for some of the very people that were supporting reparations. But that's another convo for another day. Attorney Cryer, what do you want to leave us with? You got 60 seconds.
I want to shout out all the reparations activists across the country. I see you, Detroit. I see you, Michigan. I want to particularly shout out my compadre in Maryland, Reverend Robert Turner. You should have on my Freedom and Friday.
We did.
He walked. Oh, you did? Okay. Well, he was heartbroken when that bill in Maryland was blocked. And we can have another conversation about what's not being done and what bills that the governor in Maryland have not come down the pipeline that are supposed to be quote-unquote repaired. He's not doing anything. That was all lip service. But shout out to those who are boots on the ground. Keep the faith. We might not get reparations today or tomorrow, but it's coming. And I expect something big in 2025. And thank you so much to my sister Dominique DiPrima for always holding space for all of us on this Freedmen Friday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your knowledge and your participation. And we were going to talk about Westmore. We were going to talk about the Caribbean and New York, but I guess we'll have to do it next week on Freedmen Friday. Appreciate you so much. Phone lines are open, though. If you guys want to talk about it now, just call me, 800-920-1580, right after news, traffic, and sports, only here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Investigators say the gunman at Fort Stewart in Georgia, who was an active duty military member, used his own personal handgun in the shooting, not an Army-issued weapon. 5 soldiers are now recovering after that shooting.
One soldier remains as an inpatient here at Wynn Army, right here on Fort Stewart. She's doing very well and high spirits. Of course, she's got a little bit of a road to recovery.
A lawyer for Sean Diddy Combs is asking the judge for home confinement after the convicted rap mogul was found guilty last month on 2 prostitution-related charges. Finally, Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist are planning a tour. They plan stops in Brooklyn, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles, to name a few places. Freddie Gibbs, by the way, is a black rapper, and the tour kicks off September 20th. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Ignite your afternoons at Waba Grill's $5 happy hour with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink, like our tangy passion fruit lemonade. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. Only at Waba Grill.
Spending 2 hours staring at the back of someone's bumper isn't the best way to end your day. So Jack in the Box is giving you a bonus with their new Bonus Jack Combo. Fries, a drink, and a burger with your choice of 1, 2, or 3 patties, starting at just $4.49. Get so much more.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A very tough break for the Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater will miss the entire season after suffering a ruptured patella tendon in his left leg. Slater was injured during a blocking drill in Thursday's practice. The injury comes just 11 days after Slater had become the highest-paid offensive lineman in NFL history. Slater signed a 4-year extension worth $113 million, which gives him an average annual salary of $28.2 million. Tonight in Cleveland, LeBron James is one of 9 people who will receive the Sam Lacey Sports Pioneer Award at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention. The award is named after the legendary sports columnist who wrote for 7 decades for the Baltimore Afro-American, one of the nation's historic black newspapers. LeBron is unable to attend tonight's ceremony, but he sent a 2-minute acceptance speech on video. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
For the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley Show conversation with James Farr. James said something that caught me off guard. Black Altadena is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So, go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rap. Last time that I checked, I was selling zones in the set. Make $250,000, no sweat. Last time that I checked, I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress.